So welcome back to the TouchDesigner and Leap Motion tutorial. So for this exercise, we're going to have a look how can you use your hand to do some drawing in three-dimensional space. So first of all, we need to have our Leap Motion, and then you can test by using the visualizer to track your hand movement. So make sure this is working. And then we can quit this one and then go back to our TouchDesigner project. And as usual, we remove all the unnecessary things and then create the project folder. For example, I'm using this hand 001. Then we name it with the test hand 001 project folder. Save it. And as you have seen that I'm still using or keeping the palette browser, so that means we also need to have something from here. So we choose the techniques, and there's one we call the gesture capture, and drag it over here. So the gesture capture exactly is a very useful tools that you can send input to the first input area, which is a sequence of number that representing XY or XYZ of the three-dimensional space, the position. And then the second one will be a chop. And you can use it to start and stop recording your gesture. And then the third one, you can use it to clear all your drawing. And the last one will be also another chop, that is a signal to undo the last drawing lines. So for the output, the first one is a top that's corresponding to some kind of two-dimensional drawing. And the second one will be the SOP that we are going to use. And the third one will be the chop numbers. So we're going to use this to create lines in a three-dimensional space. So we are going to use the Leap Motion for the hand drawing. So we need to go back to the chop and then select our Leap Motion. So we can test by putting our hand on top of here. Yes. Okay. And for the parameter, to simplify the methods, we'll just track only one single hand. And also we might just track one single finger to reduce the number of outputs sending out from the chops. So if we zoom in, so for the hands around here, so we're going to see the hand number 0 with the palm TX, TY, and TZ for the drawing exercise. Okay, so we now are ready to insert a select over here. To select only the thing that we want, that is the hand 0. And then here palm for the T. So we have the TXYZ, and then we name it to just TX, TY, and TZ. So this is the Leap Motion. So this is your palm movement. Okay. So the next thing is, so we can send this number sequence into the first input. The second one will be an on-off signal for starting, stopping the recording. And the third one is another on-off signal to clear all the drawing. So we're going to use some keyboard input. So we go back to chop and select keyboard in. The first one by default is the key number 1. So we use it to start the recording. And we can also insert a logic such that we can have a toggle. So that means we only press 1 to start the join and then press 1 again to stop it. So in the logic, we need to choose from the channel P opt with toggle. So this is 1. Good. So this is the way we're going to stop the recording. And then we have another keyboard in. And instead of choosing the key 1, we can remove the 1 and choose 0 instead. So that means by pressing 0, we would like to clear the screen. Then we can send it directly to the third input. That's the one to clear the recording. Okay, so to have a look of the recording, there's the line that we can send out from this second output, that is the SOP. So we can put it into a null first. For a very simple testing, so with this Leap Motion around here, and then you can press 1 to start the recording. And then you can put your palm on top of here, so you can more or less see something moving in the null SOP. And then to stop, you press 1 again, and to clear the drawing, you press 0. So this is the basic logic. So the next step is we try to visualize the 3D drawing. It's already here. For visualization of 3D, we go back to our usual practice to have a geometry. And then we have lighting. And then we have a camera. So after that, we perform a render from the top. And then pass it to the output window. You might also find that for the render, it automatically linking to some invisible geometry from the gesture capture. So we just want to visualize from the geometry 1, you can choose from here to type in geometry 1. And then this is the only place that you would like to show your 3D graphics. In geometry 1, I perform the usual step to delete this donut and to insert and input SOP. And also remember to turn on the display and render flags over here in the bottom right corner. Go back to the project 1, and we are now ready to send our 3D graphic directly to here. And instead of connecting directly to here, usually we can have some fun with this one. So the fun thing is the line that produced from the gesture drawing is only 1 pixel of line. So in this case, usually we would like to make it a little bit more 3-dimensional. So in 3D and SOP, we can have something like we call extrude. So let's start E, yes. So when you extrude the line, it's become a little bit thicker. So we can also change some of the parameter from the extrude. So the depth scale one is a very thick line, and usually we just want to have something like sorry, 0.01 or even thinner. So this is the thing we would like to do. And we can also try out that first by turning on the recording and then try to do some motion and then stop the recording. Before we clear the screen, we can have a look at our 3D view over here. So there will be something like this. So you can zoom in to have a look. So this is our 3D line drawing. For visualization, of course, you can insert material. So as usual, we choose the phone. And for the phone one, we drag it to the geometry and put it into the material. And then you can change the color of your line drawing. And this is the three-dimensional view. You might find that the drawing is actually quite small. And in order to zoom in, you can move your camera a little bit closer to your graphics. Say, put it in a position of Z1. So that will be a little bit closer. But it's a little bit above the horizontal line, that's the middle line. You can put it down a little bit by changing the Y position. So that will be something like this. Or if you want to even put it a little bit lower, so this is what your drawing will look like. Okay, so it's more or less done. So the final step, you can just, as usual, go to the perform window and make it full screen and borderless. Okay, and then we can have a look in the perform mode. So this is the one we have just drawn, and if you press 0, it's clear again. And if you put your Leap Motion somewhere, and then press 1, and to have your hand moving around, so they will draw something in three-dimensional space. Clear. And then you can draw again. Okay, so this is done, your three-dimensional drawing. And if you want to, you can add a little bit more sophistication into the three-dimensional shape by rotating the whole structure slowly. And in this case, you can choose to chop with the bit and slow down it to like with the period 60 or even 100. And then convert this sequence of number by using the mathematics and change the range from 0 to 1 into 0 and 360. So that will be the rotation in the y-axis. And if you want to, you can insert and then now chop and click on the geometry. Turn on the viewer active and drag this one to the Y rotation. Export. So in this case, your whole drawing will be rotating. And then it have a little bit more three-dimensional spatial sensation. So this is your Leap Motion, and then you can turn on the drawing. Okay, so this is the drawing you have done by moving your hand on top of your leap motion in a three-dimensional space. And this is what we are going to do with this one.